What is good, guys? Welcome back to Behind the Dugouts, and we are one day away from the semi-final. Chelsea versus Leeds. City await them in the final after beating Southampton today. I do think Southampton were a little bit unlucky. However, City have made it to the final. Am I feeling confident? Absolutely not. But it's not even the biggest topic around the club at the moment. We know we are currently managerless, right? Callum is at the wheel. Do I think much is going to change now that Rosinia's gone? Absolutely not, because he was part of the coaching squad anyway. However, that's not what I want to talk about today. As we know, every manager on planet Earth is being linked to this football club, whether it be unrealistic, realistic, or managers that we should be going for and we're not. This is what it is, right? We don't know who it's going to be. We don't know the process the club is going to take. But what I thought I would do is take three managers that have been spoken about quite a lot in a small space of time, some ruling themselves out, and take three and compare them together. And that is what I'm going to do today. So for this video, we're going to take a look at Cesc Fabregas, Iraola from Bournemouth, and Xabi Alonso, who's currently without a club, but previously coaching Real Madrid and Bayer Leverkusen. So with that being said, let's get into it. Right, graphics are up on the screen. Now, I've done 8 categories. I've split them into 4, so I'm going to run through them all pretty quickly. So I've got the preferred formation, their tactical style, shape in possession, the pressing approach, career stats, major titles, leagues they've coached in, and strengths and weaknesses. And at the end, it's just a big picture, a little snippet of what the potential reasoning behind this kind of coach coming in would be for, fans to think about, for the club to think about. So starting with the preferred formation, looking at Cesc Fabregas, what is he playing at Como? 4-2-3-1. This fits perfect for us, right? This is the formation that we are playing in right now and have done for many seasons. So there's no teething period. There's no major adjustments needed in the shape. Players are used to this shape. So in order, if he comes in, straight away, he's hitting it off the ground because it's something that he works with day in and day out, and so do the players, which is great. Iraola, very, very similar. Again, plays the 4-2-3-1. I've already said why this would be a great benefit to the team, but he also has a slight variation where he does switch to a 4-4-2, even during games. This is interesting. It's not a formation that is played very often in the Premier League, but it does create a bit of confusion, especially if you change it mid-game, and it does also help you utilise potentially 2 strikers. So in games where maybe we're chasing a goal or we want to score some more, having the option to go to a 4-4-2, play 2 strikers up top, we could see more goals being scored. Now, Xabi Alonso is where it changes. He has got a very different formation, playing the 3-4-3 or even at times a 3-4-2-1. Now, we've seen it a few times this season under Rosinia and it has not worked. But Thomas Tuchel used to play a formation like this or very similar, very reliant on wing-backs. Now, we've got players capable of doing this, at least in my opinion. Reece James can do it. Cucurella could do it. I think Hato, with some more coaching, some more game time, I think he could play that role very, very well. Gusto is the only one that's a bit 50-50. If he's going to play just a touchline wing-back, he'll probably do well. Needs to work on his crossing, but he's got the energy to play that up and back role, which you need to be able to do in this formation. Otherwise, you're going to get caught out. But it will take a bit of time, a bit of teething, again, to restructure the team around this. You're going to have to move midfielders around because, again, you're playing more defenders in having that additional wing back. So it could work. Now, I'll put more to the reason why it didn't work this season down to Rosinia. We've seen the comments come out, right? Players just didn't understand his ideas. They didn't understand what they wanted from him, and that could be a big reason why when we did play this shape, it never worked, because it has worked in the past and some of these players were part of the team when doing these systems. So it's interesting. It definitely could work with our players, but it would take some time to adapt to it. Now, tactical style, all three have very different styles in my opinion. With Cesc, as you would expect, it's heavily focused on the play, positional play and control. Very midfield dominant, as you would expect. top-class midfielder in himself. This is the way that he loves to play. So he's got his midfield dominance, looking at short passing, lots and lots of rotations in that midfield, fluid attacking midfield as well. And this is something we've got generally. Our midfield is our strongest position, right? And if you want to take the cam into that as well, we've got an abundance of good midfielders that are good on the ball, that if we can just give them an extra 20% output, a bit more control, and have them a bit more attacking, we could reap the rewards 100%. And obviously, it's inspired by the Spanish, right? It's Barcelona DNA is in there, it's in Cesc, and that is the way that we want to play. This is, back in the day, watching Prime Barca was a complete control of the game, complete control in that midfield, and that's how Cesc approaches his tactical side. Now, Iraola, again, different from that. It's very high intensity. It's very vertical, focusing on a lot of aggressive pressing, right? We've seen it with Semenyo, especially back in the team. It was very high. The press was very, very aggressive because they want to win the ball back. So, they're aggressive high. They're fast in transitions. They win the ball high. They're direct, and their attack is very dynamic. So, again, I think it would require a few additions to the squad to allow us to be capable of this, because I'm looking at the players, especially if I look at the wingers. Pedro Neto is a very hard worker. He'll do that high press very well, but then I look at some of the others that are a little bit lazy in that, and it wouldn't work in this kind of tactical style. So we would definitely need to head into the shop market to adapt to this, in my opinion. Now, Alonso is one that is a bit more flexible, right? It's structured, don't get me wrong. So it's similar to Maresca, and it's very structured, but it is adaptable. So we build up from deep. Again, something that we don't like seeing, and that again is because of the players. So if we are going to go down this route, the club clearly want us to continue to play out from the back. That's why when Rosinya come in, we went back to doing it, even though Maresca, he wised up to it and realised that we couldn't. If they're going to want this and they're going to bring in Alonso, then we need to bring in the players that can do this job, that can play out from the back and build up. Like I said, with his formation, it's very reliant on the wing back, so having that wing back quality. It's positionally flexible, so you'll see players chop and changing positions all the time, which we saw quite a bit under Maresca, and it's a very controlled counter, so the counter-attacks are controlled when we are countering, but also we're controlling the counter-attacks against us. Having that extra defensive unit, it does help us be a little bit more compact. So those are the three different types of potential tactical styles that they like to instill in their teams. Now, the shape in possession, not much change from Cesc. It's still that 4-2-3-1, which, as you would expect, sometimes you do change when you're out of possession, of course, because you want to add that defensive structure, but generally their shape should stay the same with that attacking outlet. So the fullbacks will always provide the width. Again, something that I think our fullbacks would do great at. Even Gusto, who's not had a great time, he was much better when he was playing down the wing, not having to come inside and invert. So that could bring back the best of Gusto. We think about what he was like under Poch. The midfield pair will build up the play, and this is where it should. How many times are we sitting here going, why are the centre-back spending so much time on the ball? We need our midfielders, our better players on the ball to create things, and this is what Cesc Fabregas expects from his team. Quick, out from the back, straight into the midfield, and let the midfield do the job. And they're attacking, right? They are attacking always in the half spaces. Something Cole Palmer loves to do when he's on it, when he's on form, is get in those half spaces and attack. And Fabregas's way, his shape in possession, it does allow for this. So it could bring out the best in our attacking players. Iraola, slightly different. More on the wider side, is very, very direct. As you can imagine, remember when Semenyo was playing them, and even now without him, they are very direct, very, very quick, and very, very aggressive. So the wide players, they stretch the pitch. They're quick on the attack, and they play in vertically, right? So they're looking to get into the box, overload the wide areas, and cause problems that way. Again, we would need to adapt with our players in order to do this. Esteval is a player that I think you would do wonders with. He's good 1v1. He loves to be direct. He loves to attack at speed. So Iraola would probably the best out of Esteval, but then there's other players who are not so great, i.e. Garnacho. Can't say too much about Gittins, and even Pedro Neto in there, who, when he gets into a situation where he's 1v1, he doesn't like to be direct, or at least recently he turns back and he plays the ball back. That's not what Iraola will be looking for in the squad. 3-4-3, keeping that structure for Alonso. Again, heavily reliant on those wing backs. You've got the 3 centre backs to provide that balance, to provide you just that little bit of defensive cover, but still expecting our wing backs to come back. And similar in a way to Cesc, but it's more because they overload the midfield, is the midfield will control the tempo, right? They will control the tempo of the game, speed it up, slow it down, and you have that extra unit or extra number in midfield having the wing backs. So it'll all depend on the quality. Now, we've got some good wing backs, or players like Reece and that are very good on the ball, so it would definitely help. But if you do have a weak link playing in that, Gusto, not so great when he's under pressure on the ball, it could make a hole, which then could just throw that shape out very, very quickly. Pressing approach. Now, with Cesc, because the shape, the tactical style, and the way that he wants to play, it's about being in control. It's about controlling the ball. The press is not very aggressive. It's like a mid press. They're going to want to win the ball back quickly, but you're not going to see players flying forward like you might see under Iraola, which we'll get into in a second. It is a very moderate, it's sort of like a mid block. They're pressing in the zones and they're focusing, cutting off the passing lanes, really forcing teams into making a mistake rather than just pressing and trying to get the tackle in. Iraola, like I said, it's different. It's a very, very high press. They are up the pitch. They are wanting to win the ball very, very quickly, and it's relentless, right? You've got to be fit. You have to be fit to play this. And one of the concerns for this, right, is one of the damning stats for us this season, and there's many of them, don't get me wrong, there is many damning stats. We have been outrun in pretty much every single game this season. So in order to play this way, to have this very, very high press, and also hopefully not get injuries because of it, because our players seem to have Swiss cheese in their hamstrings when they sprint too fast, we need players that can cope with this, right? Relentless high press. You want to win the ball early because it then sets you up for that quick counter, and that is the way that he likes to play. Alonso, it is similar to Cesc, not in like a mid-block, but it's an intelligent press. So like Cesc is pressing zones, Alonso, his way is looking at pressing triggers. So maybe a loose pass or, a poor touch, little triggers in the game that basically switches players on to, now I'm going to press the ball, rather than a constant press similar to Iraola, which is a very high one, or even Cesc, where it is pressing zones rather than a particular mistake or a particular trigger. They compact, have to be with that shape. Otherwise, if the wing backs are too far forward, you're going to get caught in behind. And it's adaptable to how their opponent plays. We've seen a little bit with Maresca. He was very adaptable in terms of he would change the structure slightly, especially when we were playing against the bigger teams. But Alonso, it's game after game, right? His team will adapt or try to adapt at least to the way that the other team is. So not exactly on the front foot in the press like you would get under Iraola, or even potentially under Cesc, trying to win that ball back to control the game, but an intelligent press. It says it there in the name, right? Now, stats, career stats. Cesc, still early on in his managerial career, right? Como, his first role, and for me, and like a lot of you, has done pretty well. I think they are pushing to get Champions League this season, which would be amazing, right? They were in the league below, they've got promotion, they're coming up, and now they're pushing potentially for Champions League. 92 games, 39 wins, 25 draws, and 28 losses, a 42% win to loss ratio, which is good. It is good being new to management to achieve what he's achieved and still be pushing on, still playing really good football, and he's got quite a few wins under his belt, which is good to see. Now, when you compare him to the other two, have obviously Iraola especially been in the game for a lot longer. Naturally, the stats would not look great, but that's just because he's not been around for that long. But you're looking at Iraola, 200 games in charge, plus again this because he's managed multiple teams. That's why Cesc obviously being his first job. He's got 85 to 90 wins, 45 to 50 draws, 55 to 65 losses. So between 40 and 45%. So they're not far off each other. With Cesc obviously having a smaller sample size, Iraola, Spain, England, obviously we'll get onto that one in a bit. But still not terrible. Again, we think about what team he's coaching, what league he's in. You know, the Premier League, it's a beast. We all know that. Toughest league in the world. At a Bournemouth team, it's not even a top 6 team. It's a Bournemouth side. And they've gotten better every year. And they're also a team that get rinsed their players every single season. You know, they lost pretty much their whole back line. Then they lost Semenyo to City in January. And they're still pushing. They're still looking threatening. So, you know, it's credit to him. It is definitely credit to him to still keep it going. It's because of how he plays, how he's shaped. You know, those players that come in know what to expect from day one. Alonso, again, had a few different teams managed. So he's got 200 games under his belt, which is actually more than I thought. But it is more than I expected him to have. So he's got 200 plus, 114 wins. Decent. 50 draws, 47 losses, 56% ratio. It's good. It is good. Again, out of the 3 on here, which we'll get into a little bit later, he's had some trophy success. And we'll get into what trophies he were. And one of them was done in quite a spectacular fashion. But he's got games under his belts. He has managed at the top level. You know, he's taken a top side. He's taken what you would say is an average side and has made them a winner. So he's got that pedigree in him. He's got that. He's gotten over the line. I talk about it quite a lot. If you've never gotten over the line, it's difficult when you're in that high pressure situation of getting over. You know, there's just something that you don't have yet. And obviously Alonso has done it. So he has developed and got that characteristic trait. So in terms of the 3, Alonso statistically is definitely coming up on top there. Major titles, as you can expect, Cesc, he won promotion. So he got promoted, but he hasn't yet won like a major title, being very early on in his career. But I do expect that to change 100% from what I've seen from Como and Cesc himself. Iraola, no trophies won, neither in Spain, neither in England. Obviously, it will be tough going with Bournemouth. The league is so competitive. So he hasn't gotten over the line. He doesn't have the winning pedigree as of yet. So that is probably a black mark on him. As I said, Alonso, he is the one out of the 3 that has gotten over the line, that has won the Bundesliga and the Polka Trophy and went unbeaten. So an invincible season in a league that has been won by Bayern Munich for like the last 12 years before they won it, every single season. And correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about that one, but I know Bayern Munich had been winning the league all the time and Leverkusen come along and just won it in a spectacular fashion. So as you can imagine, that is a big, big plus for Alonso. And also he won, you know, before he even got to Leverkusen, he did win a promotion with Real Sociedad B. Leagues they've all coached in. Cesc, early on in his career, he's only coached in Italy at the moment, Serie B, Serie A, still going, again, pushing for Champions League this season. Iraola, Spain, and obviously currently still in England. And then Alonso, it's Spain, Germany, back to Spain. You know, Spain with Real Sociedad, Leverkusen in Germany, and then Real Madrid in Spain. So with those 2 managers, they've had a few more, you know, or a longer career than Cesc has so far. A few more teams coached in different leagues as well, so different styles. But Iraola probably will top that, being that he has coached in the Premier League and he is the only one out of the 3 to do so. Now, taking a look at the strengths and weaknesses of each coach. Cesc himself, he's tactically very intelligent. This is one of his strengths, especially in the midfield, obviously having that background. He's very good with player development. A lot of players have come on massively under him this season, last season, and he's got that possession structure, which is something the club wants. They want a possession-based team. His weaknesses are obviously limited experience, not been coaching that long, and no top level trophies as of yet. Like I said, he's not gotten over the line just yet in terms of winning a major trophy. Of course, that's not to take away earning promotion last season. With Iraola, his strength, his elite pressing system, like we said, he improves underdog teams. We've seen with Bournemouth, he's improved them dramatically, even when losing all of his players, and he is Premier League proven. He's done it in the league for many, many seasons, so there's no adjusting, no adapting. It's just getting used to his new players. Weakness, and this is a big one, especially to highlight this, he can struggle versus deep blocks. We have struggled for season after season against low block sides. Bournemouth sometimes are one of them. He struggles. His system struggles, and it is a very high-risk system. One thing I used to say about Rosinia's style and the way he wanted to play, it was very high risk. You get the rewards for attacking the way that is, but you leave yourself very open to conceding goals, and that could be a problem, especially with the way that our defence is set up currently. Alonso, his strengths, he's got tactical flexibility, like I mentioned. He's got that elite structure and adaptability, and he is the only one on this list that is a proven winner. He's got titles. He has an unbeaten season. Got to stress that enough, right? Unbeaten in a league that is won by the same team every single season. His weakness, it's a short live at the top level, right? He's had a short tenure so far, being with Leverkusen, and then obviously Madrid is his real top level job, and he wasn't there for that long. And like I mentioned, it's the ego. It's the managing of the elite egos. Has he learnt from his time at Madrid? Will he be able to, better that? That would be the big question mark on that side of things. And this is where we get to the end of the video. The big picture, what we could expect, what the club may be expecting from these managers coming in. So Fabregas, for me, you're buying into the potential, into his philosophy. He's a young coach with a clear ideas and a long-term potential project, which is what these guys want, right? We want them out, but in terms of just thinking about the coach that they are looking at, the type of coach, they want a young coach, they want someone that can build on, that can build a project with. Fabregas fits this bill to the T. And not only that, and the one really, really big positive for Fabregas is immediately the fans love him. As soon as he signs on that dotted line, he is loved by everybody. I get to sing Fabregas' Magic, he wears a magic. I love that song. So immediately, fans love him, which is a massive plus. Fans are straight on side backing the manager, not the ownership, but the manager straight away. Iraola, you're going to get intensity. You're going to get an identity, right? There is question marks on how he's going to instill it with the current crop of players. It could be a massive overhaul again, but you've got elite pressing, and it maximizes the energy and intensity of all the players across the board. So we wouldn't be going in to next season with the stat like we have this season where we're being outrun by everybody. That will completely change. We'll be very high pressing, very intense, and we will have that identity. So that is a positive, and that's, like I said, coaching in the Premier League, he knows what to expect. Alonso, you've got an elite system, and he's won trophies, right? He is a winner, and out of all three of them, he's the only one that is the winner. He's got your tactical flexibility, so if he needs to change, he will adapt to it. He's not rigid, he's not stubborn, he will adapt. He's a proven winner at the top level, right? At the top level. The only thing that I have a question mark on Alonso is he didn't manage the egos at Madrid very well. And that was his downfall, right? That was his biggest downfall. And we seem to have quite a few players with some very big egos in this squad. More than they should have, because they ain't playing like it. So that would be my only real query on Alonso, is he didn't do so well with the egos. Now, it could be one of those where he's learnt from it and now he knows how to manage it. Don't get me wrong, of course. You have to have the experience to get it, to learn from it. But it would definitely be a question mark. Would they respect him? I think they would, what he done in the game. But can he manage that ego? I'm not even going to say elite ego, because these players don't deserve the title of elite ego as of yet. That's the only thing for me. But other than that, what he does bring you, clear winner. He has the elite system. He's got the elite mentality, which is what we want. But look, guys, that is it. We've run through it all. I'd love to get your thoughts on it. Let me know, out of these three, who would be your preferred pick. And if none of these three would be your preferred pick, let me know in the comments who you would choose to be manager of Chelsea. And if I'm going to pick one out of these three, I'm warming more up to Cesc, right? I love Cesc Fabregas. I love what he did for the club. I want an experienced coach. I want a top-class coach. I don't think we're going to get that type of coach that I want. So if I'm looking at someone that I can respect, that I can get behind, that I can love from the start, that has a clear identity, that is playing some good football, he will just need time. A coach that I would happily give time to, that's Cesc Fabregas for me. Get in the comments, let me know your thoughts. But for now, guys, take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.